I wasn't expecting anything exciting when I opened my mailbox that Tuesday morning. Maybe a few bills, some junk mail, and if I was lucky, a coupon for half-off pepperoni pizza from Tony's down the street. But what I pulled out was worse than any overdue notice. There it was, a bright, glaring red envelope with urgent HOA notice stamped across the front in bold, soul-crushing letters. My stomach sank like a stone. Nothing good ever came in a red envelope from the HOA. Nothing. With a resigned sigh, I tore it open. My eyes scanned the page. Then they scanned it again. And again. My pulse spiked. My jaw went slack. $500 fine for unsightly decorations that diminish neighborhood aesthetics. I blinked at the page like it was written in some alien language. Unsightly decorations? What decorations? I stepped out onto my front porch and surveyed my yard. It wasn't a jungle. It wasn't a junkyard. It was normal. A neat row of potted succulents, a well-trimmed lawn, and yes, my collection of garden gnomes. But was that really a crime? Each gnome was carefully placed along the walkway. They weren't offensive. They weren't falling apart. One of them was holding a tiny beer mug. Another wore sunglasses and played a miniature saxophone. And my personal favorite stood proudly with a tiny wooden sign that read, "Live, Laugh, Lawn." They were quirky. They had character. But unsightly? That's when I saw it, the signature at the bottom of the notice. Clarissa Wainwright, HOA president. I groaned aloud. Of course, it was Clarissa, the self-proclaimed queen of Willow Creek Estates. The same woman who once measured my trash bins with a ruler to ensure they weren't an inch closer to the curb than HOA guidelines allowed. The same woman who came knocking last summer to tell me my patio furniture was too casual for the community vibe. I crumpled the letter in my fist. Not this time. Not again. By that evening, I was marching through the front doors of the Willow Creek Community Center where the monthly HOA meeting was being held. Clarissa sat at the head of the long conference table, flanked by her loyal inner circle of HOA enforcers. She had that smug little smile on her face, the kind that said, "I've already won." "Ah, Colin," she said sweetly as I approached. "I assume you got the notice." I slapped the letter on the table in front of her. "You fined me $500 for my garden gnomes, Clarissa." She sighed dramatically and clasped her hands as if she were holding back genuine tears. "No, Colin. I fined you for having tacky decorations that detract from the neighborhood's aesthetic appeal." She waved a manicured hand. "We have standards in Willow Creek. We can't have ridiculous little creatures cluttering up our beautiful streets." I glanced around the room. Some of the board members shifted uncomfortably. One guy, Brett, I think, looked like he wanted to say something but thought better of it. No one dared to challenge Clarissa. No one ever did. "They're just gnomes," I said, teeth clenched. "They're not hurting anyone." Clarissa leaned forward, her voice dropping to a low purr. "And if you don't remove them, I'll double the fine." That was the moment it hit me. Arguing with Clarissa was pointless. This wasn't about gnomes. It wasn't even about rules. It was about power. She thrived on it. She loved making people miserable just to remind them who was in charge. And that's when I got a much, much better idea. I straightened. "You don't like my decorations?" Her lips curled. "No, I don't." A slow grin spread across my face. "Great." She frowned. "What do you mean, great?" I turned on my heel and walked out of the room without another word. She wanted tacky decorations? She thought my gnomes were an eyesore? She had no idea what I was capable of. By the end of the week, my house would be the brightest, gaudiest, most obnoxiously decorated monstrosity Willow Creek had ever seen. And I wasn't waiting until December. I was going full Christmas mode. In July. The next morning, I drove straight to the local Home Mart. My shopping list was short but devastating. 5,000 feet of Christmas lights, 2 inflatable Santas, 1 regular, 1 surfing, 6 light-up reindeer, 3 blow-mold snowmen, a snow machine, and a life-sized animatronic Grinch. The cashier raised an eyebrow as she scanned item after item. "Bit early, huh?" I grinned. "Not early. Right on time." By that afternoon, the first strand of lights went up. By evening, the second. And by nightfall, my house looked like Santa's workshop had exploded in suburbia. The lights blinked in rapid, eye-watering patterns, pulsing in time with Jingle Bell Rock blasting from hidden speakers. My inflatable Santa swayed in the breeze, flanked by an army of glowing candy canes. By day 2, I had added the snow machine. Because why not? The driveway sparkled with fluffy artificial flakes, turning my front yard into a winter wonderland in the middle of July's sweltering heat. By day 3, I'd gone nuclear. I hung a giant banner across the garage that read, "Merry Christmas, Clarissa," and installed the animatronic Grinch across the street from her house. Every hour, on the hour, it popped up, waved at her window, and cackled, "Merry Christmas, neighbor." The neighborhood was in an uproar, but not the kind Clarissa was expecting. Kids loved it. Families came by to take photos. A few neighbors even joined in, adding Christmas lights and decorations to their own yards. But Clarissa? Clarissa was fuming. On the 5th morning, she stomped up my driveway, her poise cracking under the strain. "Colin," she snapped, arms crossed so tightly I thought she might snap in half herself. "This is outrageous." I smiled, gesturing to my glowing wonderland. "Don't like my decorations?" "It's July." She glared. "It's disruptive." I shrugged. "Neighborhood seems to be enjoying it." "I'm filing another complaint," she hissed. "Go ahead," I said. "Make it official." That afternoon, another red envelope showed up in my mailbox. This time a fine was $1,000. I laughed out loud. Clarissa was really trying, but she'd underestimated just how stubborn I could be. This war was only just beginning. Over the next few days, I doubled down. I added even more lights, including a synchronized flashing display set to Christmas carols. A second snow machine increased the snowfall. I ordered a 20-foot inflatable Santa riding a surfboard and parked him on my front lawn. I even put a nutcracker statue by my front door. Some neighbors thought I was insane. Others thought it was hilarious. Either way, people kept showing up. Clarissa, meanwhile, looked ready to explode. On day 6, she showed up with a clipboard and a forced smile. "Colin, we need to talk." I kept my expression neutral. "About what?" "You're in violation of HOA regulations," she said, flipping through her paperwork. "Which ones?" I asked. She blinked. "It's disruptive." "Not a rule," I pointed out. "It's against the spirit of the community," she insisted. "Still not a rule." Her composure cracked, but she managed a terrifyingly fake smile. "Enjoy it while you can." I didn't trust her for a second. Sure enough, that evening, a city official knocked on my door. Clarissa had filed a complaint with the code enforcement office, accusing me of excessive noise and unauthorized displays. But I had done my homework. My music volume was just under the city's noise limit. My lights didn't violate any codes. The snow was non-toxic. Everything was perfectly legal. After a thorough inspection, the official shrugged. "Looks fine to me." Clarissa lost again, but I knew she wasn't done. The next day, Clarissa called an emergency HOA meeting. She proposed a rule change: no out-of-season decorations. It was desperate, but she pushed hard. I sat in the back, listening quietly. When she finished, I raised my hand. "Clarissa, quick question. What defines a seasonally appropriate decoration?" She hesitated. "Anything that aligns with traditional seasonal aesthetics. So, pumpkins in October, reeds in December, Easter bunnies in spring?" "Yes." I smiled. "Great, because we're in July, and Christmas in July is a thing." She spluttered. I kept going. "And any rule changes require a unanimous vote from the board." I turned to look at the other members. Some of them shifted uncomfortably. One guy sighed. Finally, someone muttered, "It's just lights." Another said, "Honestly, it's kind of fun." Clarissa's face turned red. She lost again. As the days passed, the decorations spread. More houses joined in. Christmas music played softly from porches. Kids wore Santa hats. A neighbor even set up a plastic nativity scene with a watermelon in place of baby Jesus, because it's summer. So why not? Clarissa went door to door with more complaints. People laughed at her. Some sang Christmas carols to her face. She was losing control. One night, I caught one of Clarissa's lackeys trying to unplug my lights. I flipped on the floodlights and caught him red-handed. "Having trouble there?" I asked. He scrambled away without answering. The next morning, I told everyone what had happened. More decorations went up. People were done being afraid. Clarissa called another emergency meeting. This time it was in her backyard. I walked my dog nearby and overheard everything. "We need to stop this." Clarissa raged. Someone replied, "People are happy, Clarissa. It's anarchy. It's harmless." The cracks were showing. Then Clarissa played her next card. She filed a formal complaint with the county zoning board, claiming my display was an unlicensed public attraction. If they ruled against me, I could be forced to take everything down. She showed up on my door, smug again. "I always win, Colin," she said. I wasn't so sure. I pointed out that other homes had decorations too. If the zoning board came, they'd come for everyone. Clarissa faltered, but she wasn't done. That's when I realized the only way to end this was to take her out of power. I started a petition to remove her as HOA president. It spread like wildfire. People were tired of her. Within a week, we had enough signatures for a vote. At the meeting, Clarissa tried to defend herself, but it was too late. 60 homeowners wanted her gone. The vote was unanimous. Clarissa was out. She stormed home. An hour later, a moving truck showed up. She was leaving Willow Creek for good. The neighborhood changed almost overnight. People painted their houses bright colors. Kids played without fear. The HOA refunded unjust fines. New rules made sense. And me? I was asked to join the board. I hesitated, but in the end, I accepted. Now, Christmas in July is an official Willow Creek tradition. And every summer, when the lights go up and the snow machines hum alive, I sit on my porch, smile, and think about how one petty HOA fine led to the best thing that ever happened to our neighborhood. Even Clarissa, wherever she ended up, might agree. Almost.